Author, speaker, and podcast host from Saskatchewan, Jason Weening, joined us to discuss a wholesome and inspirational book that his 10 kids all could read. It's Danger in the Jungle, the start of the Riders of the Lost Reptiles series about dinosaurs you could ride on adventures through the jungle. When Arrow and his new friend Quinn's families are threatened, the young men have to help. They just have to. But the mystery becomes bigger than they can handle on their own. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you for having me, Care. Appreciate it. Great summary of the book there.
It's hard to sum up these fiction books because there's so much in them, and you also don't want to give anything away because there's more books to come in this series. But this book is set in this world where man and dinosaur coexist, and it features diggers and dinosaurs, every young boy's obsession, including mine. Were you into those two things when you were a kid, or do you just see that more with your own children?
I see that with my own children, for sure the boys. You know, I wanted to write a book that boys would like to read, and boys like dinosaurs, boys like short chapters, boys like mystery and adventure, and so that was what I was shooting for.
And of all the dinosaurs you know, which is your favorite and why?
That's a great question. Well, I guess I think the T-Rex is my favorite, but it's probably everyone's favorite. It's so popular. It's a big dinosaur. Some of the other books are going to feature flying dinosaurs and swimming dinosaurs. So now I'm learning a little more of some of those. There's some interesting dinosaurs out there. They're all great. They're all exciting, and they're all mysterious.
Are your kids, as they're reading this with you, are they going, Dad, you got to put in this dinosaur in your next book? What happened to this dinosaur?
Yes, there is talk of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, this really is a coming-of-age story. These 14-year-old boys are getting older. They're wanting to step up and help their families. How can parents encourage their kids and find that balance between growing up too fast, but also allowing them to accept responsibility?
That's a great question. I interviewed a guy for our podcast a few weeks ago, and one thing he said stuck out to me. He said, our goal as parents is not to raise kids, it's to raise adults. And when we want to prepare our kids to launch and go on and be productive members of society and loving Jesus and serving God. So I've had that kind of phrase in my head for the last month or two as I think about that. But I think we need to give our kids some responsibility, but we also have to have fun. You know, sometimes as dads, we can be, I think anyways, maybe it's just me, but a little more like forceful and like, hey, you got to do your job or there's going to be a consequence. And moms sometimes a little more relaxed, but having fun with our kids too. I think we see a bit of a shift from dads from like came out of their dad was World War II era and more strict and more not emotion. And maybe we're now way over on the other side where it's lots of emotion and lots of fun and lots of da-da-da. I think we need to find a balance between fun and encouraging and loving our kids and also preparing them with responsibilities and chores and tasks and including them in adult sort of things so that they're involved in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have 10 kids, so there has to be some order or else the house would be madness, but you also need to have fun too. And I'm sure it's fun most of the time, I would imagine, with 10 kids. But another theme in the book is obedience. What's the takeaway here?
Yeah, that is. So I wrote this book kind of with some ideas and objectives in mind. One was the importance of family, the importance of moms and dads, and especially the importance of dads and older men passing knowledge and wisdom and transferring it on to younger men and mentoring and that sort of concept. So yeah, we talk a bit about there's some scenes in the story where some of the characters don't do what they were told and someone else suffers the consequence because of their disobedience. And so I wanted to explore that. You know, when you make a choice and do something wrong or disobey your parents, little children, you know, consequences can not only affect you, they potentially affect the people around you. So that's important. And it's presented in a fun and exciting way and everyone's fine at the end. But yes, obedience, super important.
Yeah, it's very action-packed. So there is that like, oh, what's going to happen? And actually, you did mention that this was a big theme in the book when you talk about mentorship and manhood. And I love this quote. I pulled this quote out. Arrow's dad says, there's a reason the creator placed men in your life who are older and wiser to help you navigate the path to manhood. He knows young men need older men to train them up. So obviously, this book isn't just enjoyed by boys. We want girls to read it too. Yeah. But again, what do you want the young reader to understand about manhood in this series?
So our kids listen to Adventures in Odyssey. I don't know, do you guys play that on your station?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we grew up around the Barrie area, and so Life 100.3, they're playing Imagination Station stuff. My kids have CDs and all that. The other day we were listening to it, and Wooten has this comic book series, and he said in this episode the other day, like, I want my comic books to create a vision of great family and things like that to inspire people. And I said to someone, I'm like, hey, my books are the same as Wooten's. I want my books to encourage young people to see that there are moms and dads and families that are enjoying each other and doing things together. Because, Care, we live in a broken world, and there are so many kids growing up single families and split parents, and it's just the reality that we live in. So I want to give kids hope that, there are good things and good families, and family is good and marriage is good. And that was the vision and the idea I wanted to bring out through some of the family sort of concepts here.
Yeah, and if you don't have an example of that in your own family, you can find it because that's how God created it to be. Yeah. Okay, so adventure. This is such a major theme through this book, but also through your podcast, Helping Men Thrive, through your website, heydads.ca. How do you want to use adventure to encourage men? And we're talking to men here to step up and thrive at home as fathers and husbands.
You are got some great questions here, Care. That's awesome. We live in a pretty a culture that we don't have to take a lot of risks. Like, we don't need to go out and shoot a wild boar and bring it home for our family. Men don't have to do a lot of this stuff. We can sit at our computers and our desks and do our jobs. And sometimes our sons and our daughters, I should say, want to see, and kids love adventure. Kids love doing things. It's a win-win if you can have an adventure that you enjoy and you can have an adventure that your kids enjoy. My teenage daughters and I, we've done a couple Tough Mudder events. It's like a 10-mile obstacle course events. And my girls love it. I love it. It's life-giving to me. It's life-giving to them. So really just to encourage men and dads especially to engage in your kids and do stuff. And as they get older, that sometimes becomes a little easier because you can include them in your hiking or biking or whatever. But get out of the house, go outside, have fun in nature, learn and explore. And sometimes things happen that are unexpected and you've got to adapt. And that's part of learning as well and growing. So it's great to have dads and kids do that together, and dads can help transfer hopefully some of that wisdom to their kids.
All right. As we wrap up, a little tease on book 2, because I think there's 3 so far planned.
Yes,
Are you going to wrap it up and start a whole new series after that? Or are you going to focus on the podcast after that? How do you feel about being a book author?
I feel like I have new ideas that come to me every day. So I'm working on book 2 and 3. Book 2 is about halfway done, and it'll give a little more backstory to some of the things that occurred. And I've pulled some sort of historical ideas out. Anyways, we won't get into that right now. But yes, so working on book 2 and book 3, we're going to emphasize some different interesting dinosaurs. I've also got a nonfiction book I'm working on. It's probably going to be about your most important organization and geared towards men. And that organization is not your business or your company. Your most important organization, is under the roof of your own home. And that's where we need to focus. So that project is also in the work to help men thrive.
Awesome. Well, if he can read it with all 10 of his kids, 18 to 4?
18 to 4 months.
For months. So there you go. So if they can all enjoy this book together, then you can too. Jason Weening, Danger in the Jungle. It's book 1 of Riders of the Lost Reptiles. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Cara. Appreciate it.